words a lot of times. Yeah.
How do you try to work through that?
Well, I haven't figured really how to do that yet.
Okay.
Kind of overanalyzing things, trying to figure out. Oh my goodness, you're gonna make me yawn too. Oh.
Bug. Is there a bug?
Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah, I guess, it's kind of nice that I have the ability to not work right now, because when I have tried to have a job and I've struggled at it, it's made me really upset.
Okay.
I actually struggle a lot with suicidal ideation when I feel like I'm not able to do something at the level that I think I should be. I don't think we've talked about this before. I don't like making mistakes.
Okay.
And over the past 5 years or so, I keep working jobs that I think that I can do, and then it's hard for me, and then I quit, and then I do another job that I think will be easier, and then it's not. My last job that I just worked was at Subway, because I wasn't on disability yet, and I thought this shouldn't be hard, and it was. And it was just really difficult I was really upset with myself all the time, because I thought that I should be able to do those things, and I'm just really tired today. Me too. Yeah, and also we're just really upset that have I told you what I did in the Navy? I was an aviation electrician's mate.
Okay.
That's a smart people job. I was an electrician on airplanes.
Yeah.
And the reason I had that job is because I wanted to work in aviation. And when it came time to picking a job, the person at MEPS that was the person that you pick a job with, oh my goodness, was like, oh, because of your ASVAB score, you should do this because you got a really good ASVAB score, and this is kind of a smart people aviation job.
Did you not want to do that?
Oh, I said I'm interested in being what they call an AM, which is airframes mechanic. And he was like, oh, no, you need to be avionics, which is airframers, they're taking screws out of things. And doing a little bit of, okay, please chew on my jacket and not my actual face. You can chew on my collar. Do you want to do that? You're being silly today.
And you can always set whatever boundary you feel.
I just can't see your face when you put it right there. I just don't want you biting my ear.
I don't want her biting your ear either. I agree.
I don't care if you have your face there, but chew on my coat. I know, I'm sorry. What?
What is she doing?
Well, I think she wants that hay.
You think she wants that hay?
Yeah.
Okay. Is she demonstrating anything to make you think that?
Well, earlier she had reached around to try and grab it. And
Okay.
I think she's just kind of annoyed that it's at an angle that's really hard for her to grab.
Okay.
It's yeah. Do you need snacks? I did have a question. I want to go back to whatever I was talking about,
Yeah.
but now I've kind of forgot.
You were talking about your job, aviation.
Oh yeah. But my question about her is, I was just curious. How come you never have me give her treats or anything?
Well, I just haven't done that because, I don't know. That's a really good question. I guess it would just be because I don't want her to feel like, oh, I just get treats if I interact with people. I want it to be organic.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering. I was wondering if maybe she's kind of not the most polite treat taker, or you just want her, because like with dogs, I use food when I'm training, but if you have a dog that's like nervous or there's something that might be hard for them to do, that they might push themselves beyond their comfort zone for food, you don't really want to do that because
Do you want to give her some? We can get some alfalfa. Do you want to give her some alfalfa?
yeah.
Okay, we can get her some alfalfa. Let's go down to her stall here and we can give her some alfalfa. No problem. And I obviously I don't know what's going to happen as far as, 100% of the time.
Yeah.
And in my experience, I've never had any concerns with her. We can hang her feed bag if you want to carry this down there. We can give her some of that. She'll probably be like, oh my goodness, best friends forever. Okay, I'll show you how to hang it in here. Okay, Glimmer, we're gonna move back. Back. Good girl. Stand back. Okay, go ahead. And come in behind me. And so we're gonna actually hang that right here. There should be a strap on it.
Right, hang on.
And then we'll go around two of them. I'll hold it for you.
Okay.
Just go ahead and wrap it that way and then keep going and wrap it around this one too.
Hang on.
And then there should be a little clip on here. Go ahead and clip it to itself.
There you go.
Do you want to stay in here with her? Or do you want to go out? It's up to you.
Go out.
You want to go out?
Yeah.
Alright. Let me get the gate for you.
She's busy now.
She's busy? Okay.
You're welcome.
Any change for you when you're doing that?
No, I feel like I helped her.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same floor on the level?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
You're welcome. Yeah, but anyway, with my job, being an aviation electrician's mate is kind of whenever the pilot and aircrew would come back with a plane and there was a problem, it was always like, let's say it was a fuel problem. That was the mechs or the ADs and the electricians. Basically every single problem that we might have, our maintenance control always made it our job to troubleshoot it first and essentially prove that it wasn't our problem. Or obviously it could be, and then we'd have to fix it. But because, almost everything has a wire going to it, so it could be like the landing gear, it could be electrical, or it could be hydraulic. If it's hydraulic, that's not our problem anymore. But we always had to we pretty much, had to troubleshoot everything regardless of if it ended up being our issue or not. And most of the shops were just waiting for us to tell them if it was our issue or theirs. So,
A lot of expectation.
yeah, a lot of expectation, and but it was, kind of a smart people job. I wasn't the best at troubleshooting, but I think I would have been if I was in a different squadron, because my squadron and my shop in particular was very toxic, and there was just, a lot of expectations. And you can't make a mistake when you work on airplanes.
Okay.
And I just was struggling with that. I always had really bad anxiety going out and fixing something, and I got to a point where when I could have been advancing in my career, I was like, nope, I'm fine where I'm at. And there's this qualification called a CDI, or Collateral Duty Inspector, and every single job has to have a person doing the work and a person that's CDIing it. And I should have been able to be a CDI, but I just decided at one point I'm not going to try, because I felt more comfortable doing the maintenance than being the person to sign off on something and having to verify that somebody else did something correctly, because I felt like I can know if I did it right, but I don't feel really great about inspecting somebody else's work, and what if I
make a mistake?
Yeah, and I didn't want to be the person that was responsible for that. And one time, on the flight line, there has to be one person from every shop, and if it's in case something happens, and on the flight line, if you fix something, it's not getting signed off, and it's you're just doing a quick thing, and either you're saying, no, this plane can't go anywhere, or no, it's fine, it's good, it wasn't a big deal. And it's wasn't really a issue when I fixed it, and now you're good to go. So that only needs one person. And one time I was the only AE out on the flight line, and the pilot called me up, who was our CO actually, and he said that there was an issue with the fire warning. So I went down and I looked in the engine bay, and I saw that the fire warning element, it kind of was I can't remember what it's made out of, but it's metal, whatever, not wire, but I don't know. It kind of looked like this, but it was made out of something different. But the way that electrical stuff works is, if you had if these were fire warning elements, then this would be shorting it out because they're touching each other. So you can't have them touch any metal, or it'll short out. And that's actually how it works, is if there's a fire in the engine bay, that will it'll melt it, which will actually cause an open, and a short or an open can cause a light to come on in the cockpit. But anyway, I had to see what was wrong, and all that it was this little rubber grommet had slipped, and so it had made it so that the element was touching bare metal. There was a piece where paint had chipped off of the engine bay door. So all I did was bend the fire warning element a little bit, and I moved the fire warning grommet, so that it wouldn't be touching metal anymore. And then the light went out, and I was like, "You're good to go." And then they fixed it. Yeah, but the whole time that they were flying, I was like, what if I was wrong? And they're gonna, the engine bay is gonna catch on fire while they're flying, and they're all gonna die.
Okay.
And I don't know why, because I literally did the right thing.
Okay.
And it was just, but anyway, my point is that every single job I've had since then, I still carry that, sense of, basically I have to do everything perfect or somebody could die, even working at Subway.
Okay.
And I just got to a point where I felt like I just couldn't do it anymore. I was having a lot more emotional problems and outbursts with people, and
clients?
No, coworkers.
Okay.
Because the way that our Subway was, it's a Subway this is the one in Westport. It's inside of a gas station. Yeah. And so a lot of times when I would be there working Subway, there'd be somebody on the gas station side. And technically, I heard different things from different managers. And one is they need to help you if they're not busy. And then other managers were like, no, you're the subway person. This is all your job. And I would just get really frustrated that I couldn't do things as well as I thought I needed to and do it quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was often like late leaving because it took me too long to do things.
Okay.
But then I was starting to get really like, when I had left, it was the end of March, and that month was really stressful because I think like everything had just compounded, and I had already been approved for my disability, and I was kind of trying to like hint that like, I don't have to have this job, so if you guys want me to be here, because I had a coworker that was pregnant, and she went on maternity leave at the beginning of March.
Okay.
So I was trying to stay until
she got back.
Yeah, or
Okay.
I told the boss, like, I think you need to hire somebody because I'm not planning on sticking around. And then she was already gone, and they hadn't hired anybody, and I kept having to work nights, and the person that worked the mid shift, it's their job to make sure that there's enough bread baked to last to the end of the night, but also to make sure that when the person comes in the morning, they have enough bread to last them until they can bake.
Mm-hmm.
And the mid-shift person kept not baking bread, and then I was the one getting in trouble for it.
Okay.
So the third time that happened, when we had like totally ran out of bread, and there was a couple guys that came in, and they were like, well, I guess we'll just get your last 2 loaves of bread. And I just barely could talk because I was trying not to scream or cry.
Okay.
And
So
then
it's like a feeling of like
failure.
on
And
your
that
part?
I knew that it wasn't actually my fault because it's supposed to happen on mid-shift because there's not enough time to bake bread at night.
Right.
And if I would have tried to bake bread, I wouldn't have left there until 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And I was just tired of getting in trouble for somebody else making mistakes because I was getting in trouble for making my own anyway. And so I just had a total meltdown after that, and I just decided I'm not going to get in trouble for this. So I just came back the next day and was like, I quit.
Okay. You just kind of got to your filled
Yeah.
point.
And I
That
kept,
was your boundary, right?
well, because I kept trying to say I can't, if every single person is telling me something different, like that was stressing me out. But also, like, you guys are all managers. You need to have a meeting and figure out what it is you want to tell people. Make a rule, and then it has to apply to everybody. Quit changing your mind depending on who's done something. And hi, dude. It was getting bad enough where I did yell at a coworker in front of a customer, and she told on us for fighting, and it was my fault. But also the person I was yelling at was just getting on my last nerve and not being helpful. But it was to a point where, like, there was a lot of days where we'd be busy, and I was trying to get things done so I could leave on time and not get in trouble. And it would take all of my energy not to yell, go away, to customers.
Yeah, because you were just feeling really, like, overwhelmed, you said.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's think about Cindy and Hercules and Morgan and unnamed baby. When Morgan kind of handled enough, and when she was like, okay, what am I supposed to do? She was like trying to get feedback. Cindy was really loving your guys' time, right? Like, I'm not taking care of my kids, sorry. I'm busy.
Yeah.
And Hercules was like, hey, I'm in a party. And she was trying to protect her daughter, right? So she had to set boundaries. And then ultimately what happened? Like, because Cindy wasn't stepping in and intervening, and Hercules wasn't listening, Morgan ultimately ended up having to set stronger boundaries, right? And it sounds like that's kind of what you did. And then Cindy come over and like wanted to intervene for a brief moment, and then turned around and went right back over to you.
Right.
So setting boundaries is going to look differently. Maybe that situation, like Cindy could have intervened quicker, right?
Yeah.
So that it didn't escalate to Morgan having to jump up multiple times and intervene.
Yeah.
And, you know, it sounds like maybe the managers could have intervened differently for you so that it didn't escalate as much as it did.
Yeah.
But you didn't make a mistake as much as that was like a learning experience that you went through in life.
Yeah.
Right?
And
you're-
also,
Go ahead.
it kind of, I feel like I was just trying so hard for so long that it's like all of a sudden I just couldn't anymore.
And what do you, like, so I noticed when you talked about that, your whole demeanor shifted. Like, I saw, like, a change in your face. I saw, like, a change in your body.
It just stressed me out because, one, I thought that it was going to be an easy job,
Okay.
but I struggled physically with it. I can't stand up straight, or even, you know, like making sandwiches, being in this position for a long
Hurt your
time.
back?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was physically really hard, but also, like, I hate when people assume things about me that aren't true. And I had a lot of customers, even up to, like, pretty much, like, right before I quit.
Mm-hmm.
It was people that, you know, typically were not regulars, because obviously the regulars knew that I wasn't new, but people would come in and I'd be struggling, and they would be like, "Oh, is this your first day?" And I worked there for like 6 months when I quit. And so, like, people, or, you know, because it's a gas station, everybody else did some days on Subway and some days they were the gas station. And I tried to do that, but it was way too stressful. And I hated any time where I was struggling through something, a customer would mention something about, like, it's good to, you know, build different skills. And I'm thinking, this is a Subway and a gas station, and I used to be an electrician on airplanes. Like, this feels like it's so below that skill level. And people thinking, you know, because I think I have had a lot of people tell me that I look really young for my age. And so I get frustrated that people are treating me like I'm, you know, just out of high school, or somebody in their early 20s that hasn't worked a lot, and here I am working at a gas station, and they feel like, you know, you need to be able to diversify your skills, and it's great for you to be able to do this stuff and that. And I'm like, no, but it's not, because you know, you don't understand the things I used to be able to do.
Well, I hear what you're saying. And so I guess my question would be, does it matter what they think? Does it?
Ultimately, no, because, you know, I've talked to people that I was in the Navy with that were there when certain things happened, and they have, you know, a few friends that are doing great, and I have a few friends that have figured out how to, you know, cope with what happened, and I have a few friends that are really struggling, and those
Okay.
people I talk to a lot.
Okay.
Because, you know, we have, you know, I don't really want advice. I mean, I don't really want advice. But talking to my friend Crystal, who's doing really great, you know, she knows what I went through, and she's very optimistic that, like, if I did speech therapy or physical therapy or this and that and the other thing, that I'll be better. And I have a friend that's like, I think this is our life. but he also so,
Got
you know,
it.
I have a few of them, the people that are struggling as much as me, actually a little less because they both have jobs right now. Hi dude. They do not prescription drugs.
Okay.
Like my one friend I was just talking to, I had mentioned to him, do you remember if there was a certain time where I started seeming more dumb? And he was like, well, because I had an accident where I fell off a jet it was in the hangar, and it had been raining outside, and so the jet was all wet, and I had to do a daily check, and I was just going really quickly, and I was moving from the wing to the cockpit, and all of a sudden I was on the ground.
You slipped. And
Yeah. And
okay.
sometimes,
Did you hit your head?
yeah,
Okay.
I felt like I got hit by a semi truck.
Okay.
I had to go to the emergency room, and they did. I always forget which one is which, but either an MRI or a CAT scan. And I've read the reports from it, and I feel like they didn't do as thorough of a job. And because this was a civilian hospital, this is the middle of the night, and the base that I lived on was kind of small, so we didn't have a 24-hour medical.
Okay.
And so the idea was I went to the ER in the civilian hospital, and then I was supposed to follow up. And the follow-up was just like, yeah, your tailbone looks raggedy, and that was pretty much it. They didn't recheck anything, and so I've always been like worried that I actually had a concussion and then that it wasn't treated.
Okay.
In the Navy, you always wear what we call a cranial, which is a type of helmet, and that cracked. It did its job, but I wonder sometimes, like, you know, even though when they checked me, they were like, you don't look like you have a concussion, but I still, you know, I fell from, like, I think it was 12 feet,
Okay.
and that just can't be, I just can't really imagine that I would have had that type of fall where I hit my head that bad and been fine.
Okay.
But I also think, and a lot of people agree with me, that it's just my PTSD and feeling like on high alert all the time, basically, has
Like
just,
hypervigilant?
yeah,
Okay.
it's my body has just been in like survival mode for such a long time that, you know, what your brain does is it just starts pruning things. Like, we don't need this, we don't need that, we don't need this. And so, you know, my memory hasn't been great, and
Yeah.
I think part of me is like hoping whatever's wrong, I just want it to be something that can heal or be fixed or whatever. But my friend that was, you know, I was talking to him about, like, hey, do you remember when I fell? Do you think I was like more dumb? And he was like, you were more forgetful for a while, but I think that your problems are really just PTSD related. And he said that he does mushrooms.
Okay.
And I'm like, thanks. Because that kind of stuff scares me.
Yeah.
But a lot of people seem to think, like,
But it's beneficial or something?
yeah. But it's not regulated, and I don't, you know, I get scared. I had a drinking problem before, and
You did, okay.
I've gotten to a point where, you know, I don't drink anymore, but I can't really be around alcohol and not struggle to not drink.
Okay.
And so I fear doing a substance that's unregulated, that, you know, you don't know what dosage you're supposed to take and all that.
Or what's in it?
Right. And so,
Or the potency?
right.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to be like, oh, this makes me feel good, and then just be doing them all the time, you know?
Like, get addicted?
Right.
Okay.
I just don't think I'm really that great at, like, limiting myself, you know, or
Got
like
it.
being responsible.
Okay. So how long have you been sober from alcohol?
Actually, it's been probably 5 years now.
Awesome.
I don't
Well,
have an
great
exact
job.
date because what happened was me just deciding one day when I went to the store that I'm not gonna buy it. Like then, you know,
You're just
like
done.
today it wasn't more, it was more of like I don't need this today.
Mhm.
And then, you know, gradually it was just making that decision over and over. And I think there was a lot of times where I said today I'm not going to buy it. And then the next day I would. And then, you know, I would buy alcohol like for a few days in a row,
Yeah.
and then I'd go to the store and then nope, I don't need it today.
Right.
And so for me, it doesn't work to like have an ultimatum where like this is the last day I'm ever gonna do this. I have to choose it day by day. And so I don't have a specific date because I didn't, you know, I wasn't trying to commit myself to just being sober forever.
Yeah.
You know, because then it wouldn't have worked. I
It's
would have
just a
felt
daily choice for you, you said.
yeah, and then it got to a point where it had been a long time since I drank, and then I was like, well, I guess that's it. Now I'm, you know,
Mm-hmm.
it still is something where if I walk past the alcohol section, like, I don't need it, but it doesn't feel that hard to, you know, walk away from it.
Okay. Well, good job. I
Thank you.
totally commend you on that. That's great. You know, and just remember that change is not linear. Like, change is squiggles and ups and downs and in betweens and backwards and forwards, and every day is a choice. Like,
Yeah.
am I going to try to be better today than I was yesterday?
Yeah.
And really just learning to have some grace for yourself, because if you do make a mistake, it doesn't mean that you're a total failure, and you learn from your mistakes,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
I mean, look how you did today with the kiddos. You got the goats and you did Glimmer. You gave Glimmer alfalfa, which she's probably like thinking, oh yeah. So really just making sure that you give yourself that as an opportunity to, you know, go out with. So is there anything that you feel you can take with you today to help you?
I don't know.
Okay.
It's really just taking things day by day.
Okay. Yeah. And maybe that's what something that can help right now is just focusing on that one day at a time principle, so to speak,
Yeah.
and not overwhelming yourself with what I should be doing 10 years from now or 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to say thank you to Glimmer?
Thank you, Mama.
She's like, thank you. Wait, she really got you some num-nums, huh? So, where are you at on the scale right now from 1 to 10?
A 3 again.
A 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Where are you experiencing the 3 in your body?
In my chest and my stomach.
Okay. How do you feel there?
Just like a little bit of tightness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is it like uncomfortable or comfortable?
Uncomfortable.
Is there anything that you need to do to make it more comfortable?
No, I think this is as low as it gets typically. You know,
Okay.
I couldn't always have that.
Okay. Awesome.